Choi Da-hyun looks sharp, but with a big heart. He sees a kitten stuck in a drain and decides to help. He saves the kitten, and then runs to go to his rendezvous, holding flowers. He bumps into Sitbil, our heroine, as he is on his way to meet his girlfriend, and she is on her way to a fight with her female friends. Arriving late to support her outnumbered team in a fight against 4 confident opponents, Bile catches her adversaries off guard. With remarkable speed and strength, she takes down one opponent with a powerful chest kick, dodges a punch, and counters with a jaw-breaking blow. Meanwhile, the 3rd member of the opposing team attempts an attack, but Bile efficiently knocks her down with a precise strike. As the leader contemplates surrender, Bile seals the victory with a final nose-crushing kick. Bile and her friends, elated by their recent victory, exit the scene in celebratory fashion, joyously singing as they walk down the street. Amidst the cheerful atmosphere, Bile's attention is captivated by the handsome figure of Da-hyun. However, she notices that he is sitting with his girlfriend as Hyun attempts to explain the reason for his delay to his departing girlfriend, but his words fall on deaf ears and she leaves in a huff. After Da-hyun's girlfriend angrily walks away, Bile seizes the opportunity. She marches up to Da-hyun without wasting a moment. She leaps into the air and plants a quick, sweet kiss on his lips. Da-hyun is left completely shocked, not knowing how to react. Da-hyun looks into Sitbil's eyes, unable to find the right words. His heart is now torn between his past and this unexpected, thrilling moment that has just changed everything. She asks for the number and Bile gives it to her right away, but they never communicate. After 3 long years, we find Hyun diligently working at a convenience store owned by his dad. His father's health has taken a downturn, and one day, he collapses on the floor due to feeling unwell. Concerned for his father's well-being, Hyun rushes him to the hospital. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, the troublemaker Bile is still battling, but this time she's alone, facing a dozen tough girls. She doesn't back down and holds her own, proving that she can kick some serious butts. Back at the convenience store, Hyun begins to notice a significant drop in profits as fewer customers visit the store. The weight of the situation falls heavily on his shoulders, and he feels overwhelmed. With no one around to help, he decides it's time to hire some assistance. Bile unexpectedly reappears and offers to help by showing up at the store for an interview. When Hyun sees her, memories of their previous encounters flood back, and he can't help but blush. At first, he considers turning her down for the job, but when he looks into her eyes, he finds himself weakening. As they talk about the job, Bile casually asks if she can use the ladies' room. Hyun, exhausted from his long hours, drifts off to sleep as he ponders the decision he's about to make. When Hyun awakens, he finds the convenience store bustling with people, all thanks to Bile's remarkable business acumen. She's managed to bring in high profits, and Hyun can't help but acknowledge her contribution. Despite his initial reservations, he agrees to let her work with him, but not without setting some firm conditions, which Bile accepts. The following day, after their shift ends, Hyun notices Bile discreetly tucking some money into her back pocket. Doubts creep into his mind. He checks the cash drawer, and it turns out that she has taken the money without permission. This suspicion drives him to investigate further. With a heavy heart, he follows Bile to her place, only to discover that it's a location associated with prostitution. Shocked and unsure of what to do, he decides to confront Bile about his missing money. However, as he attempts to enter her place, he is unexpectedly apprehended by the police, who accuse him of engaging in illegal activities. Hyun desperately tries to explain that he's here to confront Bile for theft, but his pleas fall on deaf ears. Upon his release, Hyun returns to the convenience store, only to find that Bile has everything impeccably organized, and the cash drawer contains all the money, neatly arranged. His accusation seems baseless now. A policewoman arrives to expose Hyun's alleged crime, and tensions rise. Bile, feeling frustrated and hurt by the false accusation, decides to leave. explaining that the money she had taken was meant for Hyun's mother, who had asked Beol for financial assistance, as once the latter gets the money back, Beol puts it back in the cash drawer. As Beol walks away, Hyun tries to initiate a conversation and takes a step closer to her. However, she responds with a swift kick near his face, a clear warning not to approach her. She leaves behind her work vest. Hyun decides to apologize when Beol returns the next day to work, as he humbly admits his mistake. Beol, with her fierce spirit but also a forgiving nature, accepts his apology, but with one condition. Hyun must take on her responsibilities at the store for the entire day. Hyun agrees, understanding that this is an opportunity to build trust with Beol. She becomes visibly delighted as she begins to play games on her phone in a strange way. The following morning, Hyun arranges to meet his girlfriend, who whispers plans for an evening meeting at a hotel into his ear. He dresses impeccably and even adds a touch of perfume. When Beol arrives at the store and witnesses his efforts, she momentarily believes they're intended for her. However, her excitement is short-lived when Hyun informs her that he's meeting his girlfriend. Though Beol conceals her jealousy externally, it burns inside. At the hotel where he's supposed to meet his girlfriend, Hyun is in for a surprise. Instead of a romantic encounter, he finds himself at a hotel gym, ready to work out with her. Meanwhile, one of Hyun's friends calls him to report that Beol is at the store, treating her female friends to drinks. Initially, Hyun decides to go there to fire her, but changes his mind when he discovers she's become so intoxicated that she's fallen asleep. Hyun drinks and shares laughter with Beol's friends. Unfortunately, his girlfriend happens to pass by and mistakenly assumes he's cheating on her. Later, Beol awakens and discovers Hyun passed out. She carries him back inside the store and, in a heartfelt conversation, confesses her love for him, and that is the reason she works at the store. Hyun, still half asleep and disoriented, responds by saying he loves her too, but accidentally calls her Yeon, his girlfriend's name. Enraged by this slip-up, Beol delivers resounding slaps across his face, leaving Hyun having a hangover mixed with slaps. The next day, Hyun meets his lover at a restaurant for lunch. She asks him how his date is after going to the gym, and he says it's hectic because he works all night. When they leave the restaurant, he tells her he's going to fire Beol because she had a party with her friends yesterday. Hyun wonders if he drinks with them, but he responds negatively. Hyun confronts Beol to fire her, claiming that her friends have not paid for their drinks. Beol insists that they already paid him when he was intoxicated. Their conversation is interrupted by a policewoman, who informs them that the store is being shut down because someone sold cigarettes to an underage boy, which is illegal. Hyun, Beol, and their friends reviewed the security cameras to find out when the cigarettes were sold, but they cannot find an answer. Beol sends her two friends to follow the young man who bought the cigarettes. She spots him kicking out the cigarettes he is holding and forces him to reveal the date he bought them, or else she will beat him up. The young man is scared and tells them the date. Beol is happy to return to Hyun with the date, and they are able to resolve the issue. Even though Beol had helped Hyun, he still tends to control every little detail of her work. He remembers how his boss used to constantly reprimand him for things. Hyun calls his girlfriend, Yeon, to let her know that he can't fire Beol. Yeon says, okay, but deep down, she's feeling angry. Hyun is overjoyed that the store is back on track, and he starts dancing his signature dance, the one you have to remember. When Beol sees him dancing on the security cameras in the morning, she mimics his moves. Both of them dance, as each person dancing separately, but at the same time. In the evening, three men enter the store to buy some items, but they treat Beol poorly. Initially, she doesn't react to their behavior. However, when they return a second time while she's talking to her friend June, they start stealing items from the store. This time, Beol decides she won't let them get away with it. She leads her friend June in the store and follows the thieves. She knows from them that they used to take things from Hyun's father without paying for them. Beol confronts them and begins to physically attack them. Her kicks and punches are so powerful that the thieves can't withstand her. After defeating them, Beale makes them write down a list of all the stolen items and instructs them to deliver it to the store. Han's friend is present during the incident and witnesses everything. He starts to run away when he thinks Beale has noticed him, but she approaches him calmly. She sits down with him and asks him not to reveal her abilities to Hyun. She tells him, "You haven't seen anything," and he replies ironically, "I can't even see who's in front of me." Beale agrees, saying that's exactly what she wants from him, and then she leaves. Hyun goes to the store disguised, thinking she'll find the girl she believes Hyun likes. Instead, she meets Jun and leaves the store feeling confident that Hyun won't leave her for this other girl. Upon reflection, Hyun realizes that the girl she saw, Beale, is not for sure like Hyun's type. She calls Hyun and asks him not to fire Beale, urging him to treat her better. She feels sympathy for Beale and is relieved it was Jun she encountered. Hyun also informs Hyun that a package is on its way to the store and asks him to receive it. He anticipates it might be a gift from her. However, later on, he discovers, while discreetly observing her, that she brought the package as a gift for her colleague at work, whom she introduces to her father. Hyun sees Yeon leaving with her colleague, who will drop her off at her house. At this moment, Hyun understands the reason why Yeon didn't want him to meet her family. He recalls a conversation with a friend who once told him that Yeon would only marry someone poor, considering herself to be in a different league. So, Hyun realizes that she's looking for a rich partner who matches her financial status. The following day, as they meet, she confesses everything. She reveals that Jo Sung-jun has been her friend since childhood. Yeon brought him a gift as a gesture for her work at the company. She reassures Hyun, saying, "Don't worry, we're not in love with each other." Hyun trusts her, and as they stroll down the street together, they decide to venture into a new, openly featured restaurant and give it a try. Meanwhile, Beale and her friends also visit the restaurant to experience it. She mentions that her sister is currently studying back home. In this part of the story, we meet Yeon, who is Beale's younger sister. She really wants to be a famous singer and goes to high school. But she hangs out with some friends who aren't known for being good kids. Things get tricky when one of her friends hurts their hand, and there's a picture that looks like Yeon is being mean to them by stepping on their hand. But she didn't mean, even though the picture makes it seem that way. So one of Yeon's friends starts threatening her, saying that once she becomes famous, they'll spill some secrets to ruin her reputation. But another friend steps in and reassures Yeon, saying nothing like that will ever happen. This troublesome bunch decides to give the new restaurant a shot. While Yeon is on her way to the ladies' room, she accidentally bumps into one of them and just keeps going. But these folks follow her into the restaurant and seem like they want to start trouble. On the other hand, Beale is also heading to the ladies' room. When she notices that these troublemakers are about to attack Yeon, she steps in to defend her and takes them on. Yeon locks herself in a bathroom stall and immediately calls Hyun for help. When he rushes into the ladies' room, he sees them in the middle of this brawl and thinks they're just fighting. He pushes Beale away, but Yeon now gets to know the real Beale, who actually works in Hyun's store. She tells him that this Beale is one of the troublemakers who wanted to harm her. Now, Hyun's girlfriend is chiming in, saying he shouldn't keep a troublemaker like this in his store and that he should fire her. So Beale is just chilling with her two buddies, doing what they always do, sipping on their favorite drinks. And out of nowhere, this good-looking dude walks up to her. Turns out, Beale's father used to be his own trainer. She puts two and two together after he takes off his mask, and man, she's excited to see him again. Alright, so the big boss of the troublemaker gang tells his crew to track down Beale because she gave him a good beatdown. Now, Hyun calls up Beale and asks her to join him at this conference since she's a whiz at marketing. He's gonna be representing the company where Hyun works. But when Beale gets to the company, She's shocked to see Hyun there. They put on a show of working together, but deep down, they can't stand each other. During her marketing presentation, Boyle drops a hint about how she hates it when people refuse help and throw shade at Hyun. Then, Hyun's buddy spills the beans. He shows Hyun a video of Beale kicking the butts of those 3 thieves. After a few seconds, the thieves come and start apologizing and give up the list of what they stole. Hyun comes across Boyle's forgotten notebook, and inside she's written down her plans to help the store make lots of money and to make Hyun proud of her. Then, Boyle's friends talk to Hyun and tell him that his girlfriend has been telling lies, and actually, Beale was protecting her from a gang. But when Hyun talks to his girlfriend, he decides to go along with what she wants, which is firing Beale. Hyun is really happy about this and gives him a big hug. At the same time, Hyun's mom spots them, and Hyun quickly hides because her mom doesn't know about their relationship. Hyun then goes to the police station to bail out Boyle, who got in trouble for defending herself from a guy who harassed her physically. Outside the station, he scolds her for taking on the gang and curses her for feeling stronger than others. In a surprising move, she uses a martial arts move to kick his face, and he falls to the ground. She leads him, really angry because nobody has cursed at her like that since her dad, while training her in martial arts. The next day, Hyun's family is shocked to see that their store's profits have gone up. Hyun is also surprised to learn that Beale has become the top salesperson for the month. He decides to bring her back to the store and is really happy for her. He tells her she's now a permanent part of the store's team and even gives her flowers. Beale asks him for one more thing, a piggyback ride. When he carries her on his back, they are both surprised to see Hyun catching them in that situation. He pushes Beale away and tries to explain, but Hyun takes it in stride and invites both of them to dinner. She takes them to an expensive restaurant, and Boyle, who's unfamiliar with the menu, just asks for anything to eat. Hyun does this to show the difference in their financial situations. As they leave, one of Hyun's friends offers them a ride, which makes Hyun feel down because he doesn't have a car. So, they end up taking a bus. As they laugh and have a good time, he advises Beale not to eat too much because some of the food she just had is a once-in-a-lifetime meal. Hyun decides to use all his money to buy a car. The next day, he picks up Hyun and gives her a ride to work. The following day, the press comes to take pictures of Beale as she is a winner. They ask Hyun to take a photo of him carrying her, promising not to publish it, and they pose together for a piggyback ride. When she sees Hyun talking to his girlfriend, she tries to distract him. She is also saying that she also has friends she can talk to. She points at his picture in a notebook sold at the store. He asks sarcastically, "Kang Jae-wook, the famous actor, is your guy friend?" Then he comments that if he is her friend, as she is saying she should make him join them now, or they can get together later. She tries calling him, but he's not picking up. At the same time, Boyle's friend calls her and tells her that her sister, Eun, is skipping school. Little does she know, Eun is actually at a singing competition, and she nails the first round. After her performance, she hears her sister calling, and she bolts. While she's running away, Lund threatens Boyle, saying she'd reveal how tough Boyle is on a talk show. Beale keeps chasing her until Lund reaches her school. This whole situation reminds Boyle of when they were kids. Their dad passed away, and their mean relative took them in, but treated them badly for eating too much. Fed up with it all, Boyle decided to leave the house and take matters into her own hands. She started working at a restaurant to put her sister through school. After Kang Jae-wook finishes shooting his action scenes, he notices missed calls from Boyle. He quickly primps up and heads over to see her. When he arrives at the store, he removes his mask, surprising Hyun. Kang Jae-wook sees Beale struggling to carry heavy objects and rushes over to help her. Beale asks the actor if he really knows her, and he confidently affirms it. Beale responds, saying, "You're so sure now, so please leave. You wouldn't mind having this conversation with my friend, right? A picture of Hyun and Bile piggybacking each other surfaces on the internet, and he becomes anxious about his girlfriend seeing it. He hurries to call Hyun, but she is at a team dinner. By the way, Hyun used to work at the company before leaving to manage his father's store. Hyun decides to visit Hyun's house because she isn't answering her phone. To his surprise, he finds her with Sung, which drives him crazy. At the convenience store where Beale works, 3 members of a teenage gang suddenly appear and strike her hard on the back of her head before fleeing. As they run away, they encounter Hyun, who senses that something fishy is going on. He notices Bile on the ground and tries to wake her up, but she complains of a stomach ache. He rushes her to the hospital and discovers that she has appendicitis, leaving him wondering how a blow to the head could result in such a condition. Hyun remains by her side throughout the entire night to provide his support. In the morning, he assures her that she will be granted a paid vacation. Meanwhile, her friends arrive at the hospital to check on her. Hyun attempts to call Yeon, but she does not respond. He decides to pay her a visit at work, and she explains that she is sorry for not responding earlier, but was preoccupied and left in haste, getting a ride with one of her friends. Her friends have a conversation that falls into Hyun-e's, talking about a photo of Beul and Hyun together. He suspects that this might be the reason for her sudden distancing from him. Hyun decides to visit Beul at the hospital. He enters her room with the intention of terminating her employment and finding a replacement for her tasks. However, to his surprise, he discovers that the person sleeping in her bed is someone else, and Yeon has been moved to a different room. Upon seeing her face in the new room, he has a change of heart. He decides not to mention anything about her job and opts to continue supporting her during her recovery. Meanwhile, Yeon hangs out with Sung, and out of the blue, he gives her a romantic hug. She reacts by saying they're just friends, not a couple. Sung confesses his love for her, saying he'll never forget her. Blail's actor friend pays her a visit at the hospital and brings along some flowers. She's thrilled about the visit and the flowers as well, but he has to leave quickly for an important meeting. Hyun's mom also comes to visit her at the hospital. She starts taking care of Hyun, even washing her hair, especially after learning that Bile is an orphan. Hyun's mom asks her assistant for information about Hyun and finds out he's working at a convenience store. She goes to the store, meets Hyun's father, and offers to buy some items at a high price, but with one condition. She wants the items delivered to her house, even though the store doesn't offer delivery service. Hyun loads up the delivery, feeling ecstatic about the high-priced order. When he arrives at the villa and starts unloading the items, Yeon walks in and is surprised. Her mother offers him money for his service, but she's acting mean and trying to humiliate him to make Yeon reconsider their relationship. Yeon tries to call him, but he doesn't answer, feeling the stark difference in their financial situations, making it seem impossible for him to reach her level. Yeon heads to the hospital, thinking that Hyun might be there to apologize for what happened. She doesn't find him though, but runs into Beul instead. Yeon tells Blail that ever since Beul came into their lives, everything has gone downhill. She mentions that Hyun has sympathy for Beul, which is why she's working at the store, and asks Beul to leave them alone. Ji-wook steps in, and since Beul is frustrated, she asks him to hang out, and they decide to catch a movie together. Unfortunately, he is lifting her medical solution, but Beul finds it amusing. Meanwhile, Yeon nails the second round of the singing competition. Beul's friend informs her that her sister is being admitted to the hospital and sends her surveillance camera pictures of the girls who attacked her. Yeon says she knows them. She confronts the gang, hitting the leader but can't take them all on. Before they can retaliate, Beul shows up seeking revenge and knocks some of them down. The others realize they're outmatched and decide to run away. Feeling victorious, Beul decides to return to the hospital to continue her treatment. There, she finds Hyun and tells him she's quitting her job at the store, citing low pay as her reason, without revealing that she knows everything about Hyun. He offers her a higher salary, but she insists on refusing and kindly asks him to leave the room. After Bile gets out of the hospital, she heads home only to find out that the person who sold her the house totally ripped her off. She's told to leave because the house is registered under someone else's name. She's super ticked off and heads over to the police station to file a report, but she's met with the response that the law aids those who are vigilant and not asleep. Now, Beale and Eun are basically homeless and broke with no cash for food. Eun loses her cool and starts yelling at her big sister, putting all the blame on her. Feeling all blue, Bile goes out, not knowing what to do next. Hyun texts her, saying she should swing by the store if she needs anything, but she's too proud to go. The next day, one of Beale's friends video calls her, saying she's home alone and invites her over. Beale crashes at her friend's place. The day after that, she tries to find a job, but it's tough luck. The only work she can obtain is as a delivery person. Han talks to Yeon and tells her that he has fired Beale, so they shouldn't have any more issues. Beale is at her friend's house when she overhears her dad scolding her for bringing Beale to live with them. Jung, her friend, warns her dad not to say anything hurtful in front of Beale. The next day, Beale decides to leave a message saying she has found another place to live. Whenever Hyun calls his girlfriend and asks her to go out, she says she's busy with work. On her way to make a delivery, Beale gets into a small accident, but only gets a few scratches. When she gets home, her sister talks to her nicely and asks for permission to work at a big singing company. However, Yeon pays someone else to go to the meeting in her place, pretending to be Bile. Feeling lost and not sure what to do, Beale meets Hyun's mother, and she starts crying as she tells her everything that's been going on. That's when Hyun's mother decides that Bile should come and live with them. When Hyun wakes up and starts stretching, he spots what seems like a ghost coming closer, but it turns out to be Beale. He checks to make sure she's not some sort of imposter. His mom walks in, and Hyun is shocked by Beale's presence. He tells his mom that he doesn't want Bile to live with them, but his mom responds by saying that if he can't handle it, he can leave the house because Bile is now part of the family. Hyun doesn't realize that Beale has nowhere else to go. Hyun calls Yeon and invites her to a play, really urging her to come along. She eventually agrees. Meanwhile, Bile tries calling her sister to find out where she is, but Yeon refuses to share her location. Yeon hangs up and meets with 3 new girls she's supposed to team up with for singing. Later, when Hyun hurries to the bathroom, he finds Beale inside, and he trips and falls. He's like, "Could you please bounce?" The next day, Hyun and Yeon attend the play together, but Yeon isn't as happy as he is. After the play, he's got a surprise lined up where they can get a photo with a famous director, but she's not feeling it and tries to hide her face. She goes on to spend the evening with Sung, who can't control his feelings, and ends up holding her hand, which leads to them kissing each other in a romantic event. The next day, Beale meets up with the actor and asks him if he can use his connections to help her find her sister. He assures her that he'll give it his all to track her down. Beale breaks down in tears, expressing how she's been taking care of her little sister since they were kids, and now she can't even locate her. After all the bad news, guess what? She gets some awesome news. She's obtained an award from Yeon's company. Then, Sung drops a bombshell and spills the beans that Yeon ditched Hyun to chill with him. So she marches over to Yeon and lays it straight. She moved away from Hyun for her sake, but she won't stand for Yeon messing with his feelings. Things get all tangled up when Yeon heads to Hyun's place. The moment he catches wind that she's there, Hyun hastens to return back home, driven by his desire to keep her unaware of Beale's residence with them. But when he gets there, there's no sign of Beale, and he's eager to escort his girlfriend away before she arrives. Tough luck though. She gets right in, and they all sit for a shared meal. Then, out of the blue, his mom discloses the concealed truth of Beale's living with them. Yeon decides to leave, but Hyun tries to make her stay, but he fails. Beale offers that she go to her, making a clear picture of what is going on, but he says no, as that would worsen the situation. Hyun goes to meet Hyun's mom and tells her not to mess with their relationship and to let her daughter make her own choices. Hyun's mom gives a fake nod to make him feel better, but has a sneaky plan. She asks for her assistant's help to get Hyun's mom a high-paying job. When Hyun's mom shows up and talks to Hyun's mom, she tells her about a poor guy's feelings for her daughter. Hyun's mom thinks he's just taking advantage of Hyun and tells her to stop her daughter from falling for him. Meanwhile, another assistant from Hyun's mom goes to Hyun's dad and offers him a well-paying job as a driver. Hyun's family is over the moon about finding work like this, but they have no idea they're working for Hyun's family. Even Hyun himself doesn't know they're working for them. Because Beale feels like she's causing problems between Hyun and his crush, she decides to leave home. Ji-wook gets a call about Hyun's whereabouts and rushes to the store. However, Hyun tells him that Beale left the store and doesn't have a place to stay. The actor blames Hyun, saying he's not man enough to take care of her, and decides to leave. Ji-wook finds out that she is living on a rooftop and invites her to stay at his place. But as they enter his place, a journalist snaps a photo of them together. They sit down for dinner, and Ji-wook shows her videos of her sister, making her proud. The next day, Beale goes to the store because Hyun wants to talk to her. He asks her not to resort to violence anymore, and she promises. On the other hand, Hyun tries to apologize to Hyun, but she rejects him, saying they're not meant for each other, leaving him heartbroken. He returns to the store, frustrated, and decides to work a bit to forget about it. Beale watches him from afar, missing him, while Ji-wook notices and realizes she's in love with Hyun. Hyun gets a big shock when his former colleagues at the company tell him about Hyun's high-ranking position at their company. He confronts her, showing that he wouldn't be interested in her money or job title, just wanting to know why she kept it a secret. As they talk, Hyun's mom shows up, and Hyun's dad is her chauffeur, holding her shoes. Hyun is taken aback and tells her that she could have embarrassed him in many ways, but humiliating his father in front of him is too much. Hyun's mom witnesses the situation from a distance, but keeps quiet. Hyun blames her mom, but the latter is saying that Hyun is not up to her level, and they shouldn't be together. Hyun's dad is furious for being kept in the dark and causing his son embarrassment, so he decides to quit his job. On the flip side, Hyun's mom decides to stick around at her job, as it's a big payday for her. She tells Hyun's mother that it's not necessary for a poor guy to love a rich girl for her money. He might genuinely love her. Beale meets her sister and expresses how proud she is of her. Meanwhile, the actor's assistant warns him that if the press finds out about the girl living with him, it could cause problems. That's why Beale decides to leave. However, her spirits lift when Hyun offers her a place to stay, as that's what his mom wants. She's head over heels for him and immediately agrees. When Beale returns home, she sneaks into her room and finds Hyun's mother there. Ironically, she scolds Beale for coming and going without their knowledge, emphasizing that they are a conservative family and she shouldn't make them worry like this. This brings tears to Beale's eyes as she realizes that there are people who care about her despite the difficulties she's been through, and that there's love in the midst of her struggles. This time, Hyun is sitting at the romantic venue, the place where he used to meet Hyun, and memories of their time together flood his mind. He stays there until evening, drowning his sorrows in alcohol. But to his surprise, Beale shows up, and they end up drinking together. She confesses that she's had feelings for him for the past 10 years. As the night goes on, he gets really drunk and collapses. Beale takes care of him, puts him to bed, and tells him about the time she fell for him when he saved her from something falling on her during her karate training when she was young. She talks to the half-asleep Hyun, saying, "You may not remember that moment, but I do." The next morning, when Hyun wakes up, he finds something written on his face. "I am all for Beale." Meanwhile, Beale is at the store, cleaning it. Her actor friend, Ji-wook, comes by and she treats him not like she normally would. However, when he sees the message on Hyun's face, he leaves in frustration. He watches Beol from outside, envying her time with Hyun and wishing he could switch places with him. Hyun surprises Beol by promoting her to be the store's manager. She's overjoyed by this, and Hyun asks her if she had been coming to the store by chance or if it was intentional. Here, we learn that she first saw Hyun for the second time while strolling with her friends on the street, and her feelings for him grew stronger. That's why she started passing by the store every day to see him at work. Eventually, she noticed the job opening sign and applied for it. The next day, Hyun brings uniforms for everyone to wear. It becomes clear that Hyun is falling in love with Beol. While they're taking a selfie together, Hyun shows up, claiming to be a representative from a company that wants to handle marketing for the store. Hyun responds by saying he needs to discuss it with the store manager, Beol, before making a decision. Hyun leaves the store feeling frustrated, and Hyun tells Beol that he's forgotten about his feelings for Hyun because of her. Ji-wook meets Hyun and boosts her confidence, promising to take her with him in his next TV show. The next day, Hyun and Sung come to the store to shoot an advertisement, and Ji-wook is in charge of the AD. He insists on wearing the same uniform as Beol and engages her in conversation, where he learns that Hyun and Hyun are no longer together. Beol confides in him that she sees this as an opportunity to get closer to Hyun, which makes Ji-wook believe that Beol is in love with Hyun. Ji-wook approaches Hyun and advises him to stay away from Beol, asserting that Hyun doesn't truly love her and he only tries to forget about Hyun. He also confesses his feelings for Beol and vows not to let her go because of Hyun. Beol arrives to get them back to work on the AD. While Hyun is leaving, he meets Ji-wook, who's trying to get in the store to sit and talk with Beol. They both get in and end up competing for her attention, and she humorously tells them they can both stay while she leaves with a playful pie. The following day, Hyun and Ji-wook discuss attending Eun's party together. Hyun is frustrated because Beol is going out with Ji-wook, the actor she's been seeing. However, it is his lucky day, as Ji-wook receives news that he needs to move now to act in an important movie, which delights Hyun, who applauds in excitement. As Eun arrives at the party venue, she spots her sister, who has come to support her, among the fans. The party commences, and Eun sings with her team. Even though she starts bleeding from her nose, she chooses to continue singing, and this act earns her positive coverage in magazines and newspapers. Beol calls her sister to congratulate her, and Eun apologizes for being a burden, promising to make it up to her soon. Eun encounters her old friends who become envious of her newfound fame. They demand money from her, threatening to release old photos of her bullying the girl. At the same time, Ji-wook calls Eun, and they request her to arrange a meeting with the actor, or they will publish the photos. She pleads with him to accompany her and explains that she didn't mean any harm to the girl and explains her situation. He agrees and convinces her to support. Ji-wook meets the gang and asks them to leave Eun alone, and they agree. He advises her to steer clear of those troublemakers, and she begs him not to tell Beol. He pats her shoulder to reassure her, and the gang members capture a photo of this moment. The next day, they blackmail her again with the photos, including the recent one which they sent her. Eun decides to confide in her sister, Beol, about everything. When Beol returns to the store, she discovers that Hyun has surprised her by setting up an office so she can resume her studies. Beol is overjoyed and expresses her gratitude with a hug. Yeon is puzzled about why Hyun is upset with her. She recalls his resignation from the company, and with the help of some documents and asking his previous director, she learns that Sung was the reason for his departure. She realizes that Hyun was concerned that Sung might harm her at work. She apologizes to Hyun in front of Beol and offers him the chance to return to work, but he declines. The next day, Beol meets with the gang to understand their intentions. They seek revenge because she had previously confronted them physically. As she has promised Hyun not to resort to violence anymore, she is knocked down by them. The girls threaten her to bring money, or they will release the photos of her sister. Beal's friend brings her back to the store, and Hyun knows everything about the situation. He begins to tend to Beal's wounds, and she expresses her concern for her sister. Beal thanks Hyun for his support and for letting her stay at his house. Hyun attempts to apologize to Hyun again, but he remains unreceptive. Then the police show up at the store to check the security cameras because of some nearby crime. Beal has a chat with the cops about what went down, and the gang sees her with them and thinks she's ratting them out. So, as payback, they post the photos of Eun bullying the girl on the internet. They also share a photo of Eun with Jae-wook that makes it look like they are in a relationship. On the other hand, the journalist posts a picture of Jae-wook with Beal, claiming they are in a relationship. The gang discovers an old video of Beal confronting them, and they also share it. Hyun goes to comfort Beal, who is in tears, promising to stand by her side. With no other option, Beal decides to confront the girls and takes their phone to later give it to the journalist, as it contains evidence proving her innocence. She asks the journalist to post it, revealing that Beal did not intend to bully them as they are thieves. Jae-wook meets with the journalist and publicly acknowledges his relationship with Beal, explaining that Beal's father had helped him when he was young, so he's returning the favor by taking care of Beal and Hyun. The journalist publishes all the information, and when Hyun sees the posts, she expresses heartfelt gratitude to her sister for everything she's done. Hyun decides to return to work at the company, and all his friends celebrate and welcome him back. Jae-wook informs Beal that he's going to travel, and she encourages him to focus on his work, thanking him for everything. As Jae-wook departs, Beal gives him a big hug, declaring him her best friend. He's not upset. He finally accepts her as a close friend, not a lover. Hyun suggests to Hyun that his store needs another manager to support Beal. He agrees to hire another manager. Hyun secretly conspires with the new store manager to put pressure on Beal at work to push her away from Hyun. Meanwhile, Hyun plans a surprise for Beal and admits his love, asking her to be his girlfriend. Beal responds that she needs time to think as she has exams in the coming days. Hyun meets Hyun's mother at the store and tries to win her over, essentially replacing Beal. She brings expensive gifts. The new store manager makes things tough for Beal, putting all the workload on her, including reorganizing the entire store. In the evening, Hyun's mother suggests to him that he should marry Hyun, as her family now recognizes their value, and it would mean a life free from poverty. Beal overhears this and becomes upset. However, Hyun surprises her by telling his mother that if she likes Hyun, she should go ahead and marry her. Feeling like she no longer has a place in this house and that these people aren't her family, Beal writes a letter to inform Hyun that she's leaving. She departs, and he can't reach her. He lives with memories and can't forget her. Beal finds work on a farm, and one night, she witnesses two boys trying to harm the farm owner's child. She intervenes, defending the child by fighting off the boys. Hyun's friend informs him that Beal is working on his father's farm, and he rushes there. When he arrives, the brothers of the two beaten boys show up, and Hyun gives Beal a choice. Number 1, to see a new side of him by fighting the men, or number 2, to see the man she's known. She chooses number 1, and Hyun embarrassingly takes a kick from one of the rivals, knocking him down. Beal intervenes at the right moment. She punches and kicks them, and they run away. Beal tries to wake Hyun up, explaining that the men ran away because they were afraid of him. He tells her he's been waiting for her to return to work at the convenience store, as he's sure about it, and he leaves her. Hyun goes to the company and informs Hyun that he's resigning and returning to his store. She pleads with him for one last chance, but he refuses. Hyun turns to drinking heavily, and her mother approaches Hyun's mother with a substantial amount of cash, hoping to convince Hyun to return to Hyun. Hyun's mother firmly states that people's feelings cannot be bought with money. Beal learns that Hyun has left the company, making her very happy. She decides to return to the convenience store, where she finds a sign that reads "Part-time help wanted. Qualification: vital." She enters the store, wondering whether Hyun is a human being or a mannequin as she sees him so handsome. Later, Bile tells Hyun that she's ready to respond to his earlier proposal. She agrees to marry him. And here comes the moment we've all been waiting for, the kiss, though it happens discreetly. In the end, it's all about being tough when life throws its curveballs, learning to forgive, and giving life another shot. And hey, don't forget the importance of family, the lasting friendships, and how love can mend the deepest wounds. So, here's a fun thought. What's next for our favorite characters as they continue their adventures beyond the screen? What kind of wild and exciting experiences, challenges, and moments of pure joy are waiting for them in the next chapters of their lives? Share your take in the comments below. And if you've been enjoying this series as much as we have, show some love by smashing that like button, sharing with your friends, and hitting subscribe. Your support means the world to us.